Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to another edition of the Lead Pedal Podcast. This is episode number 1047, and today we're going to be talking about safety on the road and truck driver training. That's right. We got some real issues on our industry right now, and despite all of the technology, things are not necessarily getting better. So before we get into our topic today, let's hear from our friends over at Rosedale, shall we?
Hey everybody, you've heard of Rosedale Transport. Well, they've got tons of opportunities for you no matter what you want to do. You know what? It doesn't matter what terminal, because they have terminals all across North America, and they are looking for owner-operators, truck drivers, and other team members that might be of interest. The best way to find out all the information about Rosedale, the history of a 50-year company that's stable and rock solid in the industry, is to go to rosedalegroup.com. That's right, just go to rosedalegroup.com, and you can see all the opportunities. Look under the careers tab. You'll see what's available. You'll see they've got 800 employees, 2,500 happy clients, 15 offices, and 50 years of trust. And when you get there and you talk to them and you say, hey, you know what? I want to be part of your team. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it from the Lead Pedal Podcast. All right, rosedalegroup.com. Tell them we sent you. Bye.
All right, so let's get into some of the stats here. Let's get into what we're going to do on this episode. We're going to talk a little bit about safety. We got a bunch of stuff going on here. We're going to also be talking with Jack Lochand of Alpine Truck Driver Training School about this. But let's get into some of the stats here. We just had a CVSA road check happened in May this year. And you know what? We're actually getting worse in the U.S. according to some of the stats. These stats came from Truck News here, but they say that Canadian enforcement teams placed 20% of inspected vehicles out of service during the International Road Check Blitz, compared to 19% of service rate in the U.S. All right, so we're already worse than the U.S. And that said, teams completed 4,247 level 1, 2, and 3 inspections on the Canadian side of the border, placing 1,453 vehicles and 260 drivers out of service. Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Alliance reported in the U.S. there were 53,847 inspections, 15,932 vehicles, and 5,000 drivers placed out of service. So, of course, there's a number of levels in a level 1 inspection, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is the one that they carry out the most. The special focus this year was on anti-lock braking, ABS, and cargo securement. So the brake systems top the out-of-service violations at 25%. Really? So, of course, brake adjustments have always been an issue, but we have automatic slack adjusters, so that should be getting better, but instead it's getting worse. Cargo securement came in fourth at 12%, and the other top five issues were tires, defective service brakes, and lights. So in Canada and the U.S., the hours of service clearly dominated the driver-related violations. Now, we went to ELDs. So if we went to ELDs, why are we having so many issues with violations? Obviously something is wrong with our system. Either they keep putting in more technology, we've got more regulations, we've got more of this, we've got more of that, we've got more enforcement, yet things seem to be going the other way. And maybe that's why, because we've got more enforcement, more people are getting caught at it. I don't know. But they're saying a 41.1% total of all of the in the Canada and the United States was the driver-related violations. False logs were at 26%. So obviously ELDs did not solve the false log issue. And then 9% of people are driving around with a canceled or revoked license, and 4% no medical. So they're saying that a lot of drivers were doing the right thing. Okay, so they did check a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of decals given out. But they're saying that there's a lot of things to improve on. They did a lot of dangerous good stuff. There was quite a few violations. So we look at the violations here. The vehicle out of service violations, brake systems, 23%, defective brakes, 15%, lights, 13%, cargo securement, 13%, and tires, 11%. That's for the top 5 Canada out of service violations. Canada's top 5 driver out of service violations, hours of service, 74%. 74%. False logs, 6%. Wrong class license, 5%. 4% were other, and 3% were drugs. Not something to be proud of. Top dangerous goods violations, training was the big one at 36%, shipping papers at 20%, placards at 20%, loading at 13%, package integrity 6%, bulk package 3%, and markings 3%. So if you look at this, the training is a big thing, and this is where it's coming down to. And folks, our roads have been getting worse and worse. All the old school truck drivers like myself are saying it. We're seeing it. I don't know if you remember one of the shows I did not too long ago where a driver, a young driver from Quebec, I wasn't even driving. I was sitting at a restaurant with my wife overlooking the Brant Street. It was for the Sound of Music Festival. And this driver, who was waiting in line in the southbound lane, there's only 2 lanes. There was a lot of traffic. There must have been something going on the highway because they were all getting off. But it was the Sound of Music Festival, which means there was a ton of pedestrians starting that night. A lot of people walking around, a lot of cars, a lot of waiting. On Brant Street, it's 1 lane northbound, 1 lane southbound. This guy was in the southbound lane. He probably had about 10 vehicles ahead of him. Other trucks had come down there before. Everybody had waited their turn and afterwards. This particular driver decided that he wasn't going to wait any longer. He was in the southbound lanes, and he continued southbound. He got out of line, continued southbound on the northbound side of the Brant Street, went around everybody, and proceeded to just make the right-hand turn and took over the whole intersection. And it's lucky he didn't kill somebody or run over somebody. Now, this has been going on for quite a while. In fact, I saw the same company I saw another video on that company where he cut somebody off. Now, not the same driver, but it was the same company. And so we've got to take some stock into what's going on as far as people driving and how they're driving and why they're driving. We've got more training, more enforcement, more this, more that, and our roads are getting worse. And the public's seeing this. People coming into the industry are seeing this, and it's really becoming a real big problem for everybody. And how we're going to do this. Now, I know a lot of the training schools, we all embark on training. We know that mandatory entry level training came in at the beginning of the Humboldt crash there a few years ago. Basically, when the pandemic started, they brought that in. We had already had good training schools, and a lot of training schools do a good job. I work at a number of those training schools. Some of them I do classwork for. Some of them I know as far as the kind of information they're giving out. I know a lot of the instructors, and so I'm confident that we do have good training, at least in Ontario. But we went from about 50 or 60 schools to 200 very quickly. So you have to think about what kind of training and incentives. And a lot of it is because the government released funding for people to get into the industry, which is a good thing. But it also saw a lot of people say, hey, here's a way I can make an easy buck. And what they're doing is they're bringing people into the industry who are just wanting a job. This is a big difference between, us old school drivers, as people say. There was a passion there that is not there anymore. And we need to make sure that we take care of that. And so this is one of the issues that have been happening. And I was at Alpine truck driver training not too long ago. We did a radio broadcast from there, and I had a chance to talk with Jack about what's going on with this training and why he thinks it's getting better. And we had some comments from some fans that were on the line with us as well. So let's go to that training, and we'll tell you all about what happened there.
Good. And what else do I want to say? Driving is next to living. Drive safely. And
hey, why do you call it that? Let's start our conversation. We got the Waynster on here. We got Wayne Binkley, and I don't know if you know Wayne. Wayne's an old-time truck driver. He's the same age as, he might be older than you.
Well, the reason why I say driving is next to living, it's because whoever is driving that truck or car or bus or whatever the vehicle is, the driver is responsible for everybody.
Right.
All the passengers inside.
Right.
And he got to drive that truck 100%.
Right.
And focus 100%.
Right.
And if he don't focus 100% and cause an accident, he kills everybody.
That's right. So we've seen some of that going on, right?
That's why I say I have the heartbeat.
Yeah.
The heart is beating, so if the heart stop beat, you're dead.
Yeah.
And the person who's behind the wheel is responsible for everything with him and around him on the road and the highway.
Okay.
So he have to focus, be alert, and be ready for any emergency.
Yeah. How long have you had Alpine truck driving school?
It's going to be, I registered it since 2001.
2001.
26th of July.
So you got trained back when it was called what? Adenac training, and then you were you were trained by Adenac, and then you went on. You were an owner operator for a while,
yes.
And you're Guyanese, so that's why Jack and I get along, because we're Guyanese. Yeah. And Wayne says he's doing great, by the way, which is very cool. Way to go, Wayne. Always great that you're doing great. Love to see that. And so then you were so you went as an owner operator. How long were you an owner operator?
Most like 6 years or more.
6 years, okay, and then
almost 10 years.
10 years, and then you decided to start the school.
Oh no! Well, we took over from Adenac after we died.
Okay, so the guy that owned it passed away, and then you decided to take the school over. Because his training was so good, you decided to take on the school.
Yeah, so 2010 December we took it over.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Well, and you've done a great job. So how long have you been in business with the school now?
The school now is going to 13 years.
13 years. Yeah. 13 years. And you've got a good name out here. We're out in Scarborough,
yes.
I think we were talking, the last time I was out here was probably about 8 years ago. You're right? It's been a while. But we see each other all the time because you're part of TTSAO. Yeah. And so we see each other at events. I saw you last week or 2 weeks ago at an event. So that's pretty cool. So now you've got a lot of competition in this area, but you are known for your backing up skills.
Backing up skill, PTI skill, inspection.
And you don't actually do it like, I'm not going to show anybody.
No.
You might see it if you see one of the pictures that I show of Wayne. You might, or not of Wayne, of the school. You might see you actually got a cart that you built.
Yes.
To get them to know which way to turn the wheel.
Yes, the concept of backing up.
And that's pretty cool. It looks really, primitive, but it works. We were talking to one of your students, and he goes, man, he hasn't even been in the truck yet, and he's backing up in between the lines there, right? In your garage there that you do. Yeah. That's pretty cool. And so now...
Shifting simulator, I built it too.
Yeah. So you should just go building stuff. But you're a trained mechanic, right? So you've done all so it's pretty cool. I remember the first time I think when I first saw you had the bicycle.
Yeah.
You actually had a bicycle that was attached to a trailer, and that's how people backed up.
Yes.
And now you've expanded it to where it's more like a four-wheel thing, and it's got mirrors and the whole bit, right? Yes. So they can see it. It's cool. So on a rainy day, they can still back up. And you got the lines painted and the cones and
cones and everything. The whole 9 yards. Dimension set up exactly like the big one.
Yeah.
We measure it out, and we make the dimension, the small dimension and the big dimension. It's the same principle.
So when they go to the truck, that which way to turn the wheels already muscle memory, right?
Muscle
and that
memory.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, that's
righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. We're not doing that kind of show, Jack.
Open the bottle, close the bottle.
Close the bottle, open the bottle. Oh, man, it's almost Friday. I need to open a bottle. We're Guyanese. We should be doing this at the bar, not here, I tell you. That's the way it should be work. But everything else is going good. So your school now, people go here, and you've got a good name with the people like Bison and SGT and a lot of others that are on there.
Christian.
Because you don't just say, come here today and I'm going to take your money. You actually make sure they know what they're doing when they go out, right?
If they need extra time, we give them extra time because we want them to keep our brand.
Very cool.
It's the name.
Very cool.
We train them, take our time to show them, and it's not easy for a new guy to learn this.
No, nothing's easy anymore. Nothing's easy anymore. All right, well, listen, what we're going to do is we are going to play a song by our friend Mr. Mike Murchison, and when we do that, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the world today of driving and what like new students and stuff coming in and what they're looking for and what you're trying to help them with and that kind of thing. Okay, so we'll be right back here. Wayne, stay with us. Hey, we got Jordan Hogan on with us. Jordan Hodkin. Sorry, Jordan. Jordan says staying cool today. That's pretty cool right there. All right, this one's here's little Mike Murchison for you there. Jordan, good to see you on. Really appreciate that. You too, Mr. Wayne.
I've seen a few here
today. I don't know where he got that idea. What do you think?
Well, I would say crazy out here too, because you see, Wayne, a lot of people, they want to get their license and they don't care how they get it.
That's right.
They don't care how they get it. And when they do get it, whether a Class G license to drive a car or a school bus or a truck or whatever, they don't care how they get it. And when they get it, it backfires on them. because they don't know, they don't have the motor vehicle skill.
That's right.
Not everybody born with the motor vehicle skill in them, so they have to adapt it or learn it.
Right.
See, this is a thing out there, and the highway. When you're driving on the highway, you're responsible for everything. Right.
You guys, we recently had was it a fuel tanker that blew up in this area on the 401, like about 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about Pickering area.
Yeah. So now one of the politicians, this is why I don't like politicians, but one of the politicians said that we should ban any truck with dangerous goods from the 401. Now, I don't know where he's going to go to get his gas, because that was a gas tanker, right? So what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on...
well, we have to move...
Training.
We have to move the cargo. Right. We have to take the dangerous goods, the fuel, to all the gas stations.
I say we move all the cars off the 401 and leave the trucks there. That's my opinion, but because I think there should be a road just for trucks.
Well, it's all boils down to training.
Yeah.
Right? You must maintain your distance.
Yeah.
You must be alert.
Did you see that incident? I think he fell asleep. Judging by the way he crossed the lanes, I think he's...
Scenario I thought. Number one, he fell asleep.
That's what it looked like to me.
It took about 6 seconds. Because he started like that drifting.
He was in the right lane and he drifted all the way over to the center median, right?
About 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then number two, probably got a heart attack. Number three, probably he felt something down on the floor, tried to grab his phone or something, and he take his time. By the time he know it.
If he was trying to grab something down by the side, I think he would have gone the other way. Because your tendency, if you're going that way, you would have steered to the right. He went from the right to the left. And I don't want to get into... Did you ever hear what happened? Did you hear the real story? No, they didn't say anything. And that's the problem. They tell people about the accident, but then they don't tell them the real reason. Was he cut off? Was he having a heart attack? Was it something else, right?
They wouldn't know that because he descended the rear.
Yeah, you know what? What do you think of cameras facing inward into the cabs? Do you believe in dash cams?
Yeah.
Dash cams facing out.
On its own close.
So how many? I bet you there's data that showed the inside too.
Could be, yeah, if you have it.
If you had an inside, what's your thoughts on inside dash cameras?
I thought it's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's more keep your driver more alert and safe.
Yeah,
right. It's a safety.
All right, so that was good. Some good information from Jack there on truck driver training. Did you also hear that we had this other driver for drinking and driving, and they mentioned that drugs are up. Drugs are up because drugs are widely available right now. But this was for a company out of Quebec where they were forced to reinstate somebody that had been drinking and driving. It admitted they had been drinking and driving, got into a crash, had admittedly drank about 9 beer while doing that, and because they said they had a medical issue, that company has to reinstate them. Now they've already done the damage. They were fired, and now they've got to be taken back into service. I don't know if they'll be on the road. I don't know how that's going to work. There's going to be an appeal for that for sure. But that's the kind of thing. Like, we need to take we need to police ourselves. You know, people keep going, I don't want any more regulation, or I don't want to work with ELDs and all that. Well, we've kind of put ourselves there. We need to get back to the professionalism of the industry. And I know, trust me, I started driving in the 80s. I know that that's the time of the cowboys and there was less to worry about. But there seemed to be more importance on professionalism and safety that I don't see a lot of times today. So if you're a professional driver, if you're somebody who's in this industry, and I'm not talking about you old school guys, because most of you are already where you are, or probably on the way out. But for those of you who are in this industry, and maybe you've been in a few years, it's time to take it seriously. This is not a job. This is a profession, okay? So if you think you're just going to go there are times, and we'll be talking about that in the future episodes. There are times when it is going to be about just, I just need to get a job. Maybe I'm a local driver and I work 9 to 5 or whatever, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there is a time when you take it seriously and you realize this is my career, and you take your career seriously, and that starts with driving safely. Some of the stuff that I'm seeing new people doing, I don't care who you are or where you are or how old you are or what culture you are or color or anything like that. Like I explained about this guy who went southbound in the northbound lanes. There's no reason for that's just you just got tired of waiting. Like, I don't know what you were thinking to do something like that. I'm still in shock. And I watched the whole thing and I'm going, how can, it's bad enough that we're supposed to be professional drivers and be a step above those people that are just driving around on the road. We're supposed to be the professionals. But when you see that kind of stuff happen, you have to wonder what is going on and why is it going on, and what is making people so impatient that they don't care anymore about the life of somebody else or the courtesy on the road. And there's been no courtesy on the road for a long time, but that's another episode as well. So I think we all need to improve our safety. I know that if you've got training from a company, we keep telling people that, don't just go to another school. You've got to go to somewhere that has a good training program, somebody that's going to really make sure that you understand everything. Well, you know what? The certified schools that are offering like a 200-hour program, that's what they're giving you, right? They're giving you, MELT is not meant for the new person. MELT was meant for somebody who's needed an upgrade. They already have some industry background. Maybe they drove a straight truck and now they just want to upgrade to an A. Something like that is what MELT was made for. It was not made for a new student coming into this industry, and it's showing. And you know what? You can blame culture all you want, but it's the same culture. Some of the same cultures are doing it to their own people. So it's not like it's a white person doing it to a black person or a black person doing it to somebody else, people are doing it to themselves, and it's because it's a quick way to make a buck. But we need people in this industry that are going to care, or we're going to kill all of us on the highway, right? That's what's going to happen. You see it. You see accidents. Accidents happen every day. They're happening more and more and more frequently. I just read the stats from Truck News about that. So there is a lot of stuff happening there. You need to be the professional driver for your own boat. If you're looking to get on with companies, I just had one Trucking It Old School on Instagram. We were chatting on an Instagram feed there, and he was saying that he's actually doing road tests of drivers, and drivers are not even making it past the inspection stage. He's not even taking them on the road. That's got to tell us something here, and you got to wonder, the companies, where are we getting our drivers from? Are we just taking anybody that's willing to fill the seats? That's where things are. And you know what? It's sad. It really is, because I remember my time on the road, there was a lot of passion for the road. We didn't think about, we're just doing this 9 to 5. We were professional drivers. That's what we were doing. We were doing it to make sure that we were doing things safely. We were operating professionally, all of those kind of things. That's the way I operated through most of my career. And I started in the furniture industry. So it's time for us to get past this whole, I'm just a job, or I don't care, or I just want to make as much money as I can and do whatever. That's not how this industry works. It is a good industry. I've been in it for over 40 years. I know lots of people in it for over 40 years. A lot of us put our time in the seat. A lot of us had a really good time. And I know people, when you look at the old school drivers, when you go to the shows and you talk to people, you realize that, you know what? The old school ways have not gone away. In fact, they need to come back. Yes, we need to learn technology and all that, but we need it to come back, because the way that it comes back is the way that we get a safer industry. Before we had all this regulation, before we had all these tools, it was a safer industry. It's getting worse now. We're at our highest numbers. We're surpassing the U.S., which has never been heard of for Canadian drivers before. So we need to think about how to get that done. And I urge you to do your part. And if that's being safer on the road, then do your part. Learn your part. Learn the industry. Learn what you're doing, and take it seriously, because what you're doing affects all of us. Not only those off the road, but those on the road. And you know what? I might be driving in front of you or behind you, and I don't want to be a problem there. All right, everybody, here we go. Let's listen to our friends over at Driver Check, shall we? So, we want to make sure that you're safe. Hey, did you guys hear about the Trucking Network? They're having another one of their Brampton job fair is happening on September 23rd at the Pearson Convention Center. This thing is always sold out. They have amazing carriers in the room, and they give away cash. What other reason would there be to go than to get some cash? So you can get, they give usually about $5,000 away throughout the day in different draws. So you can go check it out. Bring your resume, get your stuff up to snuff, learn who's going to be in the room, and you can learn and register for that job fair at thetruckingnetworkevents.ca. Make sure you tell them we sent you, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the job fair. All right, my friends, we'll see you next time. Hey, make sure you follow us on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it, TikTok, and you can find us on LinkedIn. Check out our YouTube channel. We got some great stuff up there for you. You can see videos of all of this. In fact, you can listen to the podcast on our YouTube channel if that's what you choose to do. All right, we'll talk to you later. Be good for now, and be good. Well, if you can't be good, you know what to do anyway. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.